Hey, good afternoon, everybody. I'd like to open the county government meeting for June. First up is the county historian.
Where would you like me to sit, Mr. Chairman?
Right in the middle.
Right in the middle. Good afternoon, folks. Thanks for letting me come down. I wanted to stop in and give you a brief update about what's going on in the 250th committee. We are moving along, and the committee has been meeting subcommittees, and the issues that we are dealing with now and the progress we're making is as follows. By the end of August, we will have a curriculum for every school district in this county of what took place during the American Revolution in their school district. We will be making that available to each school district, and it will be posted on the 250th committee website so anybody can review it. Our intention being, we can't force anybody to do it, but to give the tools to the local school districts, which in previous years, it used to be the 4th, 7th, and 11th grades had a local history component. We're going to be doing this, gearing it towards the 4th grade curriculum. So our goal, most of the school districts have done, we have a few more that are draft, but everything will be done and disseminated by the month of August. We are working on a logo. We have gone through several different iterations. The county is, as I understand it, may, and I emphasize may, be considering redoing some of the signs at the entrances to the County of Columbia. And our goal is to have something that perhaps coincides with what they're doing. Our logo, we are talking about, has some historical context. For example, if you were to go to the Saratoga committee, you'll see that Saratoga's focus is on the Battle of Saratoga, which is completely understandable. So then you ask yourself, what is it about Columbia County and the American Revolution that we need to talk about? And as I've said here at this committee before, we were blessed with having a person who was involved with the preparation of the Declaration of Independence, the execution of the Declaration of Independence, and we had many notable people that were actively involved in the cause of liberty 250 years ago. So those are the types of things that we need that we are considering. Our goal is to have a logo to you folks during the month of July for consideration by the full Board of Supervisors thereafter. We are also considering tying our celebration, as you've heard before, and recommending to the Board of Supervisors and with the Flag Day 2026. July 4th, 2026 is going to be a very busy day. Different municipalities want to do different things. We thought that maybe we should do our countywide celebration to coincide with Flag Day, which is a very popular event here in the County of Columbia.
Heard of it, yeah.
Yeah, you've heard of it. You folks from Hudson. We think that's a good use. I will give you an example. And I say this for the benefit of the towns in the city of Hudson that are thinking about trying to do things for July 4th. You are going to find that it's increasingly more difficult today to find organizations and entities that will participate in any event you're considering. I have tried to reach out to different marching bands and musters, and they are telling me they're booked up. So if you're thinking about doing something in your town or in the city, I would encourage you not to hesitate any further. We will probably have difficulty. There will be tremendous demand for fireworks companies around that time. Whether that's Supervisor Huntsman rolls their eyes, but the reality is fireworks are typically associated with these events, and you're going to find that it's increasingly more difficult to get them and to reserve them. So if you're thinking about that on the local level, please do so soon. I have discussed this with the chairman of the Board of Supervisors. I have been told that it's fine for me to go approach the Flag Day folks, which is a separate nonprofit corporation, to discuss this with them with an eye towards 2026, and then solidify it, come back to this committee, and in turn the Board of Supervisors, so that we can have an ironclad date and time description of what we're doing for our celebration here in Columbia County. I am also working on lining up some foundation money the foundations in this county have been meeting as a whole to kind of coordinate how they assist in improving the quality of life in Columbia County. And I'm going to be meeting with them for the same idea. What can they do on a collective basis to contribute towards this celebration of 2026? We've had some other ideas, things like cleaning up the different graves of Revolutionary War soldiers. There's a whole host of issues, not just monetary, but who owns the cemeteries, because cemeteries in the state of New York, some are private, some are owned on pieces of property that people own the surrounding land, some are owned by the towns. They end up with them on situations with churches that have ceased to exist. It is a very complex issue, but most people feel that it's very important to do that and to recognize the graves of those who fought in the American Revolution.
These graves already have flags. The veterans have been putting.
The veterans have been doing, but some of the cemeteries really could use a little sprucing up and put a little small sign
I
at the
agree,
front.
but they are being
But you are
recognized.
being recognized, so I don't wish to downplay that they're not, but it's really almost a case by case, because there's no simple answer to everything. That's what's going on in the 250th committee. My goal is to meet with the Flag Day people sometime in the next 2 weeks. But they had their big parade last week, 2 weeks ago.
So this event will be a single day event?
Well, I kind of like it because now that you mentioned that, I kind of would like to see a couple day event. You know, I could envision a muster, which is where you have fife and drum corps, maybe out at the fireman's home, or have some events on the courthouse lawn, you know, like reenactors or Revolutionary War reenactors. Kids love it. They camp and things like that. People like to come take a look at it. But those two are also, I reached out to just see about availability of some of those folks. They're being booked up for July, for that whole summer.
You said that the fireworks people may be booked up as well. Are you talking about each individual town hiring this?
We would have a big celebration on the Flag Day, but I'm telling you all, for those who are thinking about doing something in their town on July 4th, 2026, don't wait. Don't wait. Because things are going.
So it would be a single day or days, 50 days
right.
for the county celebration.
Right.
But most of the towns are also doing their own
Right.
celebration.
Like Kinderhook, we're talking about doing something with the two villages, maybe the parade, who knows? what
And
it is.
we do a parade every year because
Yeah.
we declared our
Yeah.
independence 10 days before
Four.
July 4th.
That's right.
So we have
Town
a
of Canaan
big,
led the
a
parade.
first adopters party.
Like
Yeah.
in late June?
Yeah.
Yes, we
June
did.
25th.
Yes. How's June 25th? That's okay?
For what? Yeah,
For booking people up?
I would think so.
We've already booked our people
They have, it's 2 years in advance. You have to.
because we have Dodie Derrick.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Jody,
yeah.
'cause she's a,
I was gonna give you credit for that.
no, but you got Jody, you just don't get in her way.
No.
Yeah.
She'll run right over you.
Steamroller.
The enroller is right. But that's what you have to do. And I was surprised. Does anyone have any questions?
Okay.
Anyone?
Well, I think I've got a resolution we gotta pass here quickly, please. A resolution to reappoint the county historian.
I'd be happy to move that.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Vote carried.
That's not now you speak. Now we go.
Thanks, Bill.
I want to thank you all very much for that resolution.
Do you have a way of getting to you if we do have questions about that?
About what?
Which the historian for the celebration?
You call my cell phone, 821-3070.
Or your cell phone? Do you have it like an email or anything like that?
William J. Better, WilliamJBetterPC.com. Comes to my cell phone. It's on 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Are you still
365 days a
looking
year.
at the
There are a lot
chat?
of questions. I have a lot.
No,
That's out? Okay.
we're going to try and do this all.
All right.
That's it.
Thank you.
All right.
Next up is
Thanks,
weights and
folks.
measures.
Welcome back.
Thanks very much. It's nice to be back. Thank you all.
Bill.
Good afternoon.
I know.
I'm Jim Faslow, your new weights and measures person. I've been at this for just over 90 days now. I'm rarely physically in the building, but when I am, you can tell I am because of my signature fragrance, Aqua di Sinoco.
94 back then, yeah.
So I've been all over the county. There is in fact a Red Rock in Red Rock. There's a Hog Trough Road in Germantown. And I've been everywhere doing everything from milk tanks, which I didn't know was a part of this, to gas stations, testing gasoline, checking gas pumps, submitting samples to the state, and doing various scales throughout the county, whether it be a supermarket, a farm stand, or a delicatessen.
And he's well marked because he has a big, I saw you in Chatham, big green vest, trailer,
Oh,
well
yes,
marked.
yes.
Oh, yeah.
Safety first.
Everybody knows what they're doing. It's very confidence building.
I just returned from Syracuse for a 4-day New York State Weights and Measures training program. I learned even more than I thought I would. And just by virtue of keeping this short and sweet, if anybody has any questions that I can answer.
Have you levied any fines yet?
I have not, but I also haven't cost you any money yet, so that's coming. I've only done 1 day of training for price checking and package checking. When the state person comes back in July, I'll be spending much more time doing that. So that's when you'll see the dollars building up. Fortunately, everybody's scales have been in compliance. Every gas pump, without exception, that I've tested so far, and there have been 326 meters. Every single one has read on the plus side. So nobody so far is getting ripped off in Columbia County when they're buying gasoline.
I just have one question. What's a wrestling scale?
A wrestling scale is basically just a physician's scale.
Okay.
This was at Taconic Hills High School. And they,
Is this for classification, overweight classification?
yeah, it's
Okay.
a non-binding, we certify it to be within state tolerance, but we're not really, we're putting a sticker on that says it falls within accepted tolerances, but we're not certifying it as legal for weights and measures. But for a school, it should be.
It was a
okay.
curiosity. I just
Yeah. Yeah. We try to please everyone.
Just as a little side story here, after our previous director of weights and measures passed away, we started getting phone calls because, and it was from the Taconic Hill School, that they needed to calibrate their
Permits as needed. And I'm only putting it through till the end of this year for now.
That's right. I had it.
Yeah, so it's a
All,
temporary.
I got a motion and a second. All in favor? Vote.
And that's it. The rest on my agenda was just telling you what we are doing, basically in the month of July. And if you have any questions on those nights, you can reach out.
Okay.
Thank you.
Suzette. Very quick. We're
We're
not used to this, Suzette.
Did we do the comment?
I think let's.
Oh,
Oh,
I'll move.
did
I'll
you
move-
do them together
I'll
or
move
did you?
to comment.
I didn't know if you did. All in favor? There you go.
Okay. Thank you.
I thought you did them together. I was worried about the
I did
computer
too.
here.
Okay, let's see, who's up, planning?
It's connected.
Great.
Right here.
Okay. I just have one resolution, and this is resolution, and project that was talked about a couple of months ago. It is authorization for the chairman to execute and submit all required grant application materials for a DEC conservation, DEC climate smart community certification grant for a climate action plan. The plan itself is the intent of it is to identify ways to reduce greenhouse gas emissions in the county. And this particular application for the grant is for a $120,000 project. The funds requested from DEC are $60,000, and the county would be responsible for a $30,000 cash match and a $30,000 in-kind contribution, which would be through staff and volunteer, time, spent time preparing the plan. This plan would incorporate government operations as well as, the community action plan. And it also will use the information from the two other plans, the one that's being produced by the Capital District Regional Planning Commission, as well as the plan that was prepared for the county and various communities in Columbia County, which is the CARP that that's been completed. Cornell took the lead on that. This would be a tool for the county to outline actions that they would take to reduce greenhouse gas emissions in an effort to meet the state's goal, which is to have a reduction. One of their goals is to have reduction of greenhouse gas emissions and to increase renewable resources for electricity 70% by 2030. So this grant is through the CFA portal, and the applications are due July 31st. And we've been working on preparing the questions. If we haven't submitted anything, that was the directive that we had from the previous meetings. As you know, we've received some grants from NYSERDA that have been processed already. There's a couple that are still outstanding that we haven't had a final approval on. And that one, the last one, is for the courthouse heat pumps. So we're waiting to hear back from them. We haven't received approval yet. Does anybody have any questions?
We talked about this last month, right?
Yeah.
And this is for government vehicles,
Government operations and community.
community, which for community.
The community would help to identify areas throughout the county that are not under government operations, not under county government operations.
Local businesses.
Yes, local businesses, local governments,
School district,
school districts. Thank you.
not-for-profits that are
Right.
operating businesses.
I think for Govt, that's all fine, but you were saying last week or last month how there's programs out there for cover crops and stuff like that, make it available. And that's kind of redundant because we have the farmers, we have Columbia County Soil and Water, Columbia Green FSA, and all kinds. We have, and I can give you this, if you want to see this, maybe you should go to this meeting, okay? No, there's a meeting coming up that, I was in the FSA committee for 9 years. We get barraged with everything. On our farm, we have solar panels on our roof already. We feed our cows lemongrass to produce methane. I'm just saying, it's already out there and it's redundant, and I'm not sure if you're not going to gain anything by creating another entity for that part. That would say, you know what I mean? But for the county, that I don't promise, but for the farm one, I just think you're beating, you're gonna get pushback on it if you try to, you're gonna go to a farm and say, hey, I'm from Columbia County, you need to do cover crops. We've been doing that for years. We don't even sign up for the money to get paid to do it. But I don't think that one is a great idea.
Is the state doing this, what we had talked about last month about that they're doing their own study right as we speak or something like that? About
They have a plan. The state has a plan.
They have a
On
plan.
our farm, we have to pay a certified planner, I think it's Agri Services, in excess of $15,000 a year. When DEC comes to our farm, they have to be present as well. What it is if we're not complying, they go after our plan, and they don't want to lose their certification, so they get on us. So it's easier for the state.
But to Tim's point, I focused in the last discussion on farms because that was Ron's objection to the community operations piece. But the farms are only a small percentage of the
Right,
community.
so I'm just saying, I'm just telling you this.
May I
Yeah.
finish? I listen. I think that the farms are certainly one organization or one stakeholder group that falls under that umbrella.
Right.
But if we don't do the community operations, we exclude all of the other stakeholder groups, businesses, not-for-profits, school districts.
Right.
And no one is focusing on farms.
No,
That was
right.
Ron's expressed concern.
Yeah.
And I will let you know that I and others have been reaching out to the community for letters of support for this. And so far, we had letters of support from Columbia County Soil and Water, Green Acres Farm, Partners for Climate Action, Churchtown Dairy, Columbia Land Conservancy, the Capital District Community. I have 10 letters
Yeah.
already and more letters.
Even
coming
Solar
in.
Water wants it, huh?
Yes, and because they are working on the
Oh, no,
mechanics
wait,
of
no,
these,
they've been
they
doing
are
this for
working
years.
directly with farmers.
Right.
And in fact, they said this would be a tremendous asset for them to work with farmers. And I think there are other letters coming in from farmers, but I think to focus this on farmers at the expense of the rest of the community
Right.
is short-sighted.
Right, I'll agree on that part, right.
So I do think that, just to talk a little bit about numbers, we were talking about money. NYSERDA's allocation for clean energy communities last year was $25 million. We're about halfway through, the state is about halfway through that allocation. $12.5 million has already been spent, and $2 million of that has come back from Columbia County. Just under $900,000 with the courthouse project has come to Columbia County. The other 1.1 million has gone to towns and villages who have willingly participated in these programs. And I think the only reason they have been able to do it is they wouldn't have the resources or the knowledge to do it themselves, is because the county was doing it. And that's why I think it's so important that this community piece be extended or completed. The other thing is, I did speak to Tara Donadio. She thinks this 25 million will be gone in December. And I've also been asked to serve on a committee, a NISAC committee, which is called their climate committee. We're meeting next week because the state is expected to do a cash appropriation in 2025, 2026, but they don't expect that it's going to fund these kinds of community programs any longer. So I think that we really want to be in a position to be eligible for the kinds of programs they're going to focus on next year, which is going to require that we have, lined up a plan for the county. We need to be able to just demonstrate that we have a plan and we want to move forward with that. And if we limit our cap
Right.
to government operations, then all these community groups that have been advantaged so far for this funding will not be eligible because they won't be part of the plan. So I think we don't want to leave people behind. We can't afford to leave people behind. Makes no sense to do that.
So what are you envisioning these other businesses? Can you name besides those? Like, I'm confused.
Well, I think if a not-for-profit, let's say that you wanted to put solar panels on your roof, or you wanted a pump campaign, or if you wanted something to reduce greenhouse gases, then this group would be able to provide you with the resources, the context of the grant opportunity that might help you as a business partially fund that.
Yeah, but I get that, but is that what this grant is for?
It's for the plan, to create a plan,
Right.
to identify
Right, that's my question. What are we identifying?
the greenhouse gas, the
But I mean,
emissions.
we do farms, we do,
It would be, yes, everything. With the community, it would be everything. It would be farms, it would be transportation, it would be building construction, it would be fuel consumption.
that's what I'm asking.
Now, in Columbia County, the majority of the greenhouse gas emissions are from transportation, and the next highest is our buildings and construction. So those would, they make up the largest part of the pie for Columbia County as a whole.
So if, well, first of all, these organizations without a plan can still apply for,
If they know about it.
yeah,
And that's the big issue with talking to the farmers that I was talking to and talking to some of the not-for-profits. They said, we're interested in these programs, but we have two things that come before that. First of all, we have to run a business and we have to raise a family. And so to the extent that we have any time left over after that, then maybe we're out looking for new programs to help us, fund initiatives. But that's way down the line. We rarely get to it. And I think that's why we want to be able to provide that resource for them. And, there's nothing, I was talking to Ron about this on Friday, there's nothing here that identifies specific farming operations and the type of farming they do. So there's no risk for them, and whether now or in the future, because this is all aggregated data.
Sure.
I'm supportive of it, and you and I have talked about it, I'm supportive of the government part of the plan. I'm not sure in terms of the community part of the plan, what oversight do we have? What enforcement, if there is any enforcement, do we have? We really don't have any. With the government, and we have control of that.
But I think it would be parallel to this, I'm sorry, it would be a leadership thing. The government, the county government stepped off. We took the bold first step of creating the county task force. And then we made it easier for towns and villages to follow along in those footsteps. And I think it's that educational piece and it's that energy and that it's that leadership that the county is doing something.
Yeah, I guess I would just add is it's a potential resource. And I think one of the other examples I gave last time was that we had done that project around heat pumps, letting people know, hey, here's this resource, you can get tax credits, here's some reputable people who can help you install your heat pumps. And that was like a small step, but I think we're living sort of in a totally different, like a really different world than it was 10, 20 years ago in terms of what the challenges are for the environment and what the opportunities are. And I think there's some really outdated ideas about just recycle or and those kinds of things that are recycling has totally changed, but it's also not the most relevant thing in terms of protecting our environment. And there's all these new funding streams that exist for, even for farmers, like the REAP program has really changed in the past couple of years. So maybe farmers in Columbia County totally know about all the new opportunities for
I'm
REAP.
surprised, green acres, that's Willie Endick, right?
Yeah, do you want to just give me a
No,
moment? I would like to
recycling.
read you what he said to me.
Right.
I was so impressed. Will always gets it. He says, farmers have done an excellent job managing risk as they nearly always do. But we cannot ignore that multi-generation farms in our county are in jeopardy if we extrapolate current trends. As you know, farming is a low margin enterprise, and I would like to hope that my two boys, 3 and 8, will have the opportunity to carry on the family business. No single economic sector can be blamed for climate change, and no single sector can advance the sole solution. It's in Columbia County's best interest to continue to apply a grants-based approach to climate change mitigation, where we as local leaders can steer funds and solutions to areas of greatest need, rather than having a one-size-fits-all directive handed to us from state and federal agencies. Creating a local action plan devised and supported by those of us who live here is the most sensible way for us to do our part to combat climate change. On behalf of the many local farmers in this community, I encourage you and welcome your support of this initiative. Churchtown Dairies is just as laudatory. So I think we don't want to leave the farmers behind.
Right, no, and I was trying to say is, our farm has been on solar for 7, 8 years because we had a guy come every other week trying to sign us. I'm not complaining, we get bombarded with this already. Even soil and water, they say they all, we're already hearing it all.
But that also might be a model, right? Is that farms have probably gotten a lot more engagement than other local businesses in the county.
Right.
And because of that, farms have led the way, doing cover crops, doing solar, doing all these techniques to sort of steward the land. But there's lots of other businesses that might,
I'm agreeing on that part. I'm just saying
there's TSL, but a lot of people might not know about these opportunities.
we get more people showing up every day. After a while,
It's too much.
Exactly. Right.
Yeah, right. I hear that. So, and look, what I see the plan as an opportunity to say, look, we have, as you mentioned, there's a lot of missions around building. Well, here's some recommendations that we can have around reducing that, or people are opting in. It's actually not about enforcement at all. It's about, well, if we, maybe as a county, we can take these steps to improve. And if you're an individual business owner, here are the grant opportunities that you have to make the greatest impact for the least amount of labor.
Right.
And if we can help identify what that is locally, that seems like that's a useful resource. It's not a huge outlay of funds, and it has the potential of doubling and tripling in terms of the grant funds we get from the state. So in my mind, it's a risk worth taking if it's focused on, well, what is the low-hanging fruit? And I think there is a lot of opportunities in the county that, because there's a lot of education, a lot of opportunities that are different than we were 10 years ago.
And when we did our community solar plan, the solar provider estimated that we would have at max 40 people. So I know we had 120 people sign up in 2 weeks. We had to close the campaign because so many people were interested.
Yeah.
But they got all the literature in the mail that they couldn't wade through it. But when we had a clear, concise program and a link to sign up,
Right. Okay.
they went. So
I get all that, but I'm still confused. It's a plan to examine where things can be done. Is that,
You're planning to plan.
Okay,
It's an inventory. First we're
I
starting
know,
with the-
what, I don't get how the inventory would even begin, like, you gotta look at all the government buildings, right? For example.
Well, we've already done this in our town. Many towns have already done
The
it.
government buildings are, and I'm sorry, are manageable. I think. That's why I support the government end of it, because I think it's something we have control over. The community.
Well, that's why it seems like
just-
it's so
Yeah,
vast.
it is. And I think until we get more information and it becomes maybe more specific information, we hold off on that community piece until we do get that information. And from what I've been told, and we're not precluded in a year or so, maybe for applying for the community. I know you said that there's a chance today or risk of it not being available, but
I think there's a risk of it not being available for a couple of reasons. One, because the NYSERDA funding won't be there, and DEC is gonna look at this. Okay, they've already applied for a grant for a cap plan for greenhouse inventory. Why are they applying for a second? Why didn't you combine government and community? And as somebody who's reviewed and awarded grants, and I've also talked to DEC, they think there are efficiencies, I believe, associated with doing both groups at the same time. So they're basically spending the same money a second time for half of what we could have done the first time. We could have rolled it off. It won't be a competitive grant, and it's not an efficient use of money. We're gonna the state would pay for it twice.
Brenda, don't you feel though that this is gonna be an ongoing thing the rest of our lives, like Mike said? This is changing in our lives. It's not gonna go away. They're gonna keep funding out there. They're gonna keep doing studies. They're gonna keep getting better at it. What I'm a little nervous about of reading about some of these studies that go to the point, like I've read a lot about it in Holland, where they're going after the farmers to shut some of the farms down because of all the gases that the farmers, and I'm thinking, wait a minute, farms are supposed to be the best thing in the world for it because we need to eat. But I know what they're saying. They're studying, well, we got to shut them down. Why aren't they changing and stuff like that? So like, I guess what I'm saying is here, in my opinion, this thing is always going to be funding available to do studies to do this. And I get a little nervous of spending another $60,000 to do a quick study. Well, it's matching funds plus 30 plus 30.
So we already have the 30 committed.
Right. So I'm just saying, it's money we're laying out. And I feel like Matt, like he said, why are we rushing? And I know what you're saying. We could lose it. Maybe. We don't know that. But I always think there's going to be funding available. I think it's going to be more and more as we keep going ahead.
So my answer to that is that we're not rushing. I don't feel that there's enough rush associated with this, one. And two, we don't have any sense that the funding will be available. But I think more importantly, I think when we started the Climate Smart Task Force, it was as an equally a broad and undefined program. We didn't know how valuable it would be to the county, and we certainly didn't have any idea of how many, if any, towns or villages would sign up, would adopt. But now, what is it? 17 out of 19 towns have their own Climate Smart Task Force, and again, those 17 towns have brought back $1.1 million to their communities that they wouldn't have had otherwise. I'm looking at another $100,000 in October, November. TISRI is looking at another $100,000 or $200,000 in October, November. We have communities that are really buying into this and making substantive change. If those programs are out there, we should be bringing that money back. And really the only way the county can bring that money back is if we understand what the opportunities are. We've done the baseline data gathering to be competitive and eligible for those opportunities. And we act as the educator or the hub for the towns and villages to do the work or not do the work. No one's going to ask any business or any town or village to do this. It's all voluntary, just like the Climate Smart Task Force has been. And people are pushing for this. I mean, this was a unanimous vote on the task force for this resolution.
Right.
And to
No, there was one
include,
vote against it.
or was it Ron?
No.
Who was it?
The Stockport representative.
Okay, I don't remember that. Was he or she there that day?
Yeah. Well, it was a virtual call.
Okay, I don't,
Abstained.
he abstained,
Okay.
so it was not a,
Well, it's a no vote.
it is technically, but it's not a no, and he or she didn't. take
Well, he
the
wanted more information.
Right, but I do think, so I don't think there's any rush associated with this, but I do not think that, I think that the community will feel left out if we don't pull the trigger on both pieces. I mean, why did we pull the trigger for the government and not the community? It makes no sense to me. We're not being asked to monitor. We're not setting any goals or standards. It's all voluntary participation, just like the task force was.
And that would be my argument, why not wait? Because there aren't, we're not,
Because this money's disappearing. This $25 million pot, we know, is not going to repeat for these programs after December 31st. There may be other funding after December 31st, but that funding hasn't been aligned. And on the 2 calls that I've had leading up to this NISAC call next week, they think the funding is going to be for other priorities, not for community programs. And that by other priorities, they've used what I see as a code word, which is they want programs with more impact. That means they want to go to big cities where they can serve 100 million people or 20 million people instead of, not million, but you know what I mean?
Right.
They want where they can serve a lot of people with 10 projects rather than having 100 projects that's going to serve half that many. So the small local communities will be left out.
When did we have to make a decision on this? When's the bottom line? You said this
This
November,
meeting.
December. It had to be done
This
exactly
meeting,
today.
Because we
No, I know we've talked about, I'm asking you
It's March.
questions. If you go to another meeting, do you still have time to get this thing?
No,
in?
no,
the
this is
proposal
it.
would have to go before our board in July, at the July meeting.
Right, this
Okay.
is it.
Okay.
This is
So
our chance.
yeah.
So
So-
I think if it was clearer, like, are we gonna go to the schools? Are we gonna go to all nonprofits? Just list 10 things that the community, that's what I don't hear. I hear all your arguments and they're all excellent. Just don't hear you listing the communities you're gonna ask. You're gonna ask all the nonprofits, you're gonna ask all the schools, you're gonna, all the, Colarusso, for
We would
example.
invite input from all those folks. Not,
I'm just-
not a requirement, and again,
No, but I'm naming them. I'm
Yes.
asking you.
that you would invite all.
Help me out.
I haven't made up a list yet.
Yeah, but you-
We would invite everyone that you might.
Yeah, but you give me 10. I gave you like 5. I mean, you're asking for this.
Colarusso would be an obvious person to talk to because he uses a lot of fossil
I know,
fuels.
I'm just trying to just get some clarity about the community. I'm not being arguing, I'm just trying to get it clear for, like, give me a potential list, that was all.
The problem we're having here, everybody, is we gotta make a
what is-
decision here.
yeah, what is
Linda,
the-
I'm not, sorry to say that. I'm not trying
Yeah.
to push you along. I agree with what you're saying. We're not clear on a lot of stuff yet.
Well, that's
Yeah.
what I'm just
But
trying
you're
to
looking
get
for a push off.
clarity.
I think that the answer to your question, the shortest answer I could give you is that we would compile a list of stakeholder groups, submit that for review and say, have we missed anybody? And then reach out to all of the stakeholder groups. But the intention is to be as inclusive as possible.
Let's think where we get caught up is it's not just very clear in who it is. I mean, I've named a few. I'm not privileged to all this information that you clearly intensely know it. So I think, and the first one was the farms, but that's
Right,
like,
even the farms, I'm not opposed.
forget,
I'd rather see soil and water and those guys be doing this, because when they go on a farm, they're well received. It's just, they've been doing it forever. Farm Bureau.
Dylan Jakowski is offered to host a
Right,
group
okay,
of
yeah, so
farmers.
that's what this is about. What I'm just
Exactly.
saying is,
Right.
it should be through them and not through the county.
Right, and the Climate Smart Task Force Committee can reach out to each of you or all of you and say who you suggest we speak to. I can tell you that if we do move ahead with this, which I hope we will leave no stone unturned. How's that? I'll give you my word that we'll leave no stone unturned.
I would add that the list you're talking about, one of the requirements for the application is that we develop a work plan, an outline of a work plan of what we're gonna do, which I have. And the first thing on the list is to identify all the stakeholders that we're going to ask to participate or reach out to. That's the first thing is to develop some kind of and public engagement plan to reach out to those folks. So while I don't have that list developed yet, that would be the first thing that we do when we start to plan.
I would love to see this go to the county and do all the county, but everything right now, all the government stuff first, and then come back. I know what you're saying. You want to do everything in one shot, but at least we'd have a plan after we did the government. If you took this and said, everything's done, look what we did with this. Now let's go after everything else that's out there. Because you know, in the county, there's a lot more businesses, a lot more a lot more people, everything all over the place. It's gonna take a lot of time.
If
So-
we had done that with Climate Smart, the county would have $800,000 or $900,000 in grants. And the other million and two that's been distributed throughout the county wouldn't be there.
Yeah, but that's for the town. That's the government again. I'm talking government, you know.
I
we're
don't
talking-
know, if
Isn't it?
the community piece, does that exclude, municipal towns and villages?
No, that's.
No,
That
that's
is-
part of it.
That's-
The municipality is something part of the community.
Yeah.
part.
That,
Gov operations is just county.
Just county, right. Did you understand that distinction? So your local town, your town, and my town would not be eligible
Okay,
because we're part of the community,
Well-
not part of the county government office.
But again, let's clarify that. You would be eligible.
Would not,
You're eligible now. Without a plan.
if we know about it, but it is
Okay,
through
well,
this
then that's a
information.
difference than
Right,
saying we wouldn't be eligible.
well, I mean eligible in the sense that we wouldn't be part of the county ops plan. That's the clarification. We wouldn't be part of the county, we wouldn't, none of the data would be associated with local towns and villages.
The part of the community plan recommendations would be recommendations geared towards local government.
Right, exactly. Thank you.
Okay, I think we gotta take a vote here because we are running, we got a lot of people that's gotta go up to
I'm
the
gonna make a
table.
motion that we approve the resolution.
Have a second?
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
So we need to take a vote then. Weigelt,
No.
Scalera,
Yes.
Janutus,
yes.
Morel,
Yeah, no.
Not as absent, Ooms,
I'm just convinced, like, at the farms, if you go through these organizations, you're gonna get a better.
But we will be working with these organizations. They've already said they want to work with us on this. They've committed to it.
Doesn't that letter indicate that?
Yes, it does.
We end it from the farm bureau, stuff like that.
And we've talked to them that there may be a separate letter coming from them as with the
Right,
American
right, right,
Farmland
right.
Protection. So I really think that this is important.
Tim,
What's the count right now?
doesn't matter.
The count is, I need your vote.
You gotta have 5 to pass it.
Yeah, let's move it to the county and see what happens.
What does that mean? Yes?
Yes, yeah.
Okay,
Adams,
yes,
Mussman.
yes.
So that's 5. 5-2.
Thank you.
That's it?
Yep.
Okay, we have, MIS is up next.
You take your time, Chris. It's only fair.
Oh, Lord. All right. So the first one was going back after much back and forth.
Yeah.
Trying to improve our camera system.
Nothing to discuss it, but otherwise I'll make a motion to approve the policy.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
All right, thanks, everybody.
Appreciate that.
Thanks for what everybody did.
Yes, there's a lot of it. Thank you for all your input.
This says, required for
Yeah, I think we got
executive
to
session.
But yeah, I don't know.
You need
Got
a
more.
motion for executive session? Is that what's going on?
Yeah.
I will make a motion.
Second.
For what purpose? Actually?
It's gonna be, we had our cybersecurity assessment and the security, some of the stuff that we will go through. I don't want that.
What is the legal reason for that?
Legal reason?
Security. Okay, I'll make a motion for security.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
This is what I'm dreading to do in our town.
Oh, the attorney can say.
No, he's just turning the sign around.
Yeah, he's the doorman.
You can unlock that door. It shouldn't be locked. There.
Yes, speaking of another topic, it's been going around and around.
Yeah, and actually,
Oh,
it's
hold on.
really good that the state is table for the
Mike.
Thank you.
Watch that guy, that's it.
Okay, now you can do your
Okay,
motion to.
need a motion on any other thing before the board? I don't
Motion
need a
to
motion
adjourn.
to adjourn.
Second.
In favor?
Come on.
Sorry about that. I came in.
To sell so it's kind of tying their hands and it's crippling them, which in turn is crippling everybody else. So that's just one more thing on top of, we've been told also that the Allison transmissions are on back order.
And heavy frames.
And heavy frames, so who knows when. And as far as our situation with our trucks, I mean, it's worse and worse. Like we had to, usually for our shoulder reconstruction, we haul all the blacktop, we put the blacktop down, we do all the trucks on the milling end. It's probably, what would you say, Chris? 25, 30 truck operation, maybe 20 trucks or so. We don't have the trucks to do it, so we're actually paying the extra money for Palarusso's to do the paving end of it. And they're contracting out trucks to do it. You know, we just don't have the trucks to do it. So yeah, I don't, as far as the two we ordered, we can't get a straight answer from anybody. I know we've used and repurchased the plow and dump body equipment already. And I think Wax is, we've already paid for the stuff that's there. We had to pay for all the plows and because, you know,
They
Frank
have
Wax,
it, right? They have it.
they have it, and he was holding it. You know, we held it for a long time. He's been great to work with, obviously, but who knows?
Sweet.
Yeah,
These are Allison automatics.
yeah. So,
Good.
and we looked in for this one here. We got quotes from Allegiance for an international, hoping that maybe their turnaround time, because town of Livingston had a pretty quick turnaround time, I guess, for their international they got. I talked to Dave Lyons. I thought maybe that was like a road rage thing or something, but it was an automatic. He said he thinks it was just a fluke that they got it that quick, because Allegiance wasn't able to give us any better time frame than Tracy for the Western Stars. So.
Problems will continue.
Pretty much.
Anybody else have anything else for Tony?
All right.
Thanks, sir.
Yep.
Can I ask you a quick question?
Just hold on to the end. We'll take all the questions at the end. Yes. Yes. Solid waste. Wendy.
Hi.
How are you?
Good. We received a bill for our first solid waste, House of Hazard Waste Collection Day. It's up there. We got the RFPs back. It's in a resolution request. And we set it up so that we can do 1 or 2 events for next year and the year after. So that's a conversation that we're going to have specifically around budget time. And so ideally, we'd like to do 1 in the spring and 1 in the fall. But we do need to make a decision at budget time this year so that I can set dates for at least next year, whether it's 1 or 2. But it's in the contract either it to be 1 or 2. Reminder that all the stations the stations that are open on Thursdays are closed on July 4th. And administration will finally be moving into the new office building on the 22nd of July. And then the recycling. So information packets are being delivered to all the clerks. I'll be doing that. So I'm meeting with all of the clerks. It looks kind of like this. I don't know if you guys want to look at them or not, but you're more than welcome to if you do. They're little tiny things. We're sending them out to all the clerks. So anytime they sell anything within our office or within their office that is ours, they'll also be handing this out. It gives what's recyclable, and then on the back side, it kind of tells you some things that are trash that people think might be recycling or e-waste and where that goes. We've been handing that out to all the residents at stations. We've got the website updated. Definitely take a look at it. There's a recycling encyclopedia. It's pretty cool. I had a lot of help from Sherry from here. With that, so we're pretty proud of it. It's coming along. If you see issues, email me. And additional signage will be designed and placed at all the stations in the upcoming months, specifically about our recycling protocols.
I think this is a great idea because it'll help hopefully clean up the line a little bit. You know, it's.
We've done a lot of talk with our guys at the stations. They've all been on board, super helpful. We did the recycling audit. I talked about that last month where, you know, we were actually in looking at the recycling coming out. We have seen a great deal of improvement. We're doing recycling audits frequently. So we're checking, you know, when Greenport comes in, when Hudson comes in, when Philmont comes in, and all of the stations as well. So all of the towns have gotten some protocol sheets that the clerks have been able to send out, and it's helping. I mean, it is word of mouth, right? So it's hard. We've got a lot of people coming in that are doing recycling in other areas where they take everything, and so we don't take everything. So it is just kind of education.
Mm-hmm.
So it's good.
And if I could, so to that end, again, to each one of the supervisors, maybe at your monthly board meetings, if you can just remind people that it's available, bring it to their attention. Because as Wendy has said, you know, it is all word of mouth. Although the website is available and the information's on the website, really, each one of the towns would really help us out by getting the word out to its constituents.
All three of my people. I have 3 people.
So this is just our numbers. Very poorly sent to you too. Sorry about that. They're all up right. But our numbers are up. We're getting a little busier at the stations now as the weather is getting nicer. And then I have a couple of resolution requests. So my first one is authorization to fill 1 vacant part-time budgeted position on it.
Second. Second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried.
And the second is to award the bid for the household hazardous waste collection event to NXI Environmental.
Move it.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried.
And then my third is just authorization to enter into an agreement with Repeat Business for an additional printer.
I'll move it.
Second. Motion and a second. All in favor? Anybody? All in favor? Yes. Opposed?
Yeah, nobody can
Anybody else?
Carried.
Nobody can oppose.
All right.
I'll go through.
Very good.
Okay.
Any other questions, Wendy?
No.
Good to go. Thank you. Facilities, Brian. Come on up.
Hey, Brian, how are you?
How you doing? All right.
So DSA shopping.
That's his new job, it's just a shop.
There you go.
Shop and golf. Won't be complaining. Hope you didn't hear that. All right, couple quick things. 401 here, as you know, we're just over new carpet, new painting and everything else. That worked out good. 560, we had to repair the feed line to the chiller. Let's see here. We just got in our new battery garden equipment, so that's been distributed to all the buildings. So we're all using.
Friends again.
We went with the Cobalt. We already had a ton of that, so it was easier just to keep it. So our stuff stayed, and plus Lowe's has it, so
Yeah.
it's just easy.
You can
You
bundle,
know.
right?
But
You can bundle with that?
well, we can swap all the back, you know. So we have so much now, so we're all set.
Gotcha, all
So
right.
and plus it's very, you know, we'll have a battery in a second, just go in there and
That
pick
sounds
something
like
up.
a good
So
deal. I didn't know if it was into cobalt or steel.
Yeah, I mean-
Mean.
it's just convenient. We already had, that's why I didn't want to change midstream, so that's why we went with that. We had to go around a lot of buildings that had stoves and install these cave fire extinguishers that were required. Over at the jail, we've been running into a problem replacing the basketball hoops, and it's just been a nightmare. It's 4 foot of concrete around. It's hard to get equipment in there, but we finally got part of the sleeves out, so I got a welder involved, and we're gonna weld pieces back on because we rented a piece of equipment. It was so, but it's inside the courtyard, so we finally got the pipes out, so hopefully by next week we'll have that done. Out at our nutrition building, we discovered over years and years, there was some minor blotches here and there. We would snake them out and everything. There had to been just a whole sleeve this long of lead inside in the pipe.
Really?
Yep, and we must have been, every time we would snake through packing until she finally got it, and we couldn't move it no more, so we had to go in yesterday, cut the whole floor out and replace everything, so, because they're looking at opening it back up, eventually, so we have to, those were staff bathrooms that we kind of closed down because, we didn't know what was going on, we kept snaking, and finally we bought a camera and we figured out we had a problem, so, Mount Ida, we're working out there quite a bit, just rehabbing both buildings. We had to replace the roof, replacing doors, and gonna get that looking better, even though no one can ever see it. But, it did need some definite repair. So, got a resolution now. This one is authorization to accept a service agreement with UniFirst for weekly carpet mat, and they clean our mops at the courthouse. 100% reimbursable from the state, so we're just looking to renew the contract.
Okay, I'll move it.
Yeah.
Second. Move it second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Anybody else have anything, Brian? Well, thank you, sir.
Yep.
Last, not least,
Certainly.
Ray, how you doing?
Good evening, everyone. I'll start off with updates on our bridges. So Valley View Bridge, the existing superstructure has been removed and new foundation piles have been installed along with the concrete cap. So they're currently working on the abutments. Right now, if all goes well, they are ahead of schedule, and we anticipate that steel will be delivered and start to be installed in the middle of July. So again, if all goes well, that bridge would be up and operational before the end of the year. So far, no issues regarding that project. The Stall Bridge, again, that's Pleasant Vale Road between Claremont and Livingston. Contractor started work. They identified that the superstructure was going to be removed this week. Actually, they had it completely removed within 2 hours on Monday morning. So, and it's ready to be moved off site. So again, I reached out to each one of the town supervisors as well as the highway superintendents. Steel has been ordered. There are no hangups there. Bridge seats have been ordered, and actually Colarusso has them in their hands right now. So that project also anticipated to be completed and paved before Thanksgiving. But right now that's been going pretty well. And with the water being so low, they're putting their cofferdam bags into the stream right now, and they're going to be doing some work on the abutments for the next month or so. And again, as soon as the steel is done with Valley View, they anticipate jumping over into the Stall Bridge as far as that steel placement as well. Because Colarusso is working on both of those particular projects. Rossman Road, so that's Rossman Road is a Bridge to York project that we received funding for, and we reached out to multiple consultants to get statements of qualifications. We've completed those reviews, and so right now we're just waiting for fee structure. So I anticipate that we'll have a resolution for the committee for next month regarding that. And again, that award, as far as the grant award, has already been awarded by the state to us. Stuyvesant Fall Bridge, draft design report and structure justification report are both underway. Had a meeting with the consultants looking at the design alternatives. Again, the fact of the historic bridge, recognizing one of the preferred options would be removing the bridge in its entirety, but we're seeing what we can do to try to add architectural features to make it, the new structure look somewhat historic. We also anticipate our first public informational meeting at a August 1st meeting of the town board. That'll be our first run through with the public, getting their feedback and input.
regarding the various alternatives before we go to the state Office of Park and Recreation as far as our preferred recommendation. 2024 repairs. So as the bridge crew's been going out, doing their washdowns of the bridges and cleanups, in addition, DOT's been moving forward with their bridge inspections for the early part of the year. We've been getting notifications and feedback from both entities, and we're currently working on several bridge repairs for smaller components, and we'll be coordinating that work with the bridge crew for the installations towards the end of the summer as well as into the fall. Culverts, County Route 7 in Gallatin. Again, that's a Bridge New York culvert grant that was awarded. The right-of-way acquisition has been complete. Check's been cut to the property owner. So we now own the area that was needed for that construction. DEC permits have also been issued. So we're just waiting final DOT approval. So that way we can place the project out to bid. Based on the time frame and based on the limitations as far as when we can be in the stream, we have to be out of the stream by September 15th at the latest. We're not able to get back into the stream until mid-April. That being said, we would anticipate to go out to bid this fall, award it. That would allow the precast structures to be cast over the winter, and the contractor can hit the ground running in April. Okay. So that's been a delay.
That's a pretty big one.
Yes, it is. Yeah, that's a three-sided precast structure. And right now, just speaking with the consultant, they just awarded a couple projects. Precast indicated that even if they had the approved shop drawings today, they wouldn't see delivery until October. So we've missed the season as far as that's concerned. 911 center. So working with the engineer, identifying some minor value engineering, but we do anticipate putting that out to bid in the August timeframe, late August into September. So that way we'll be able to get bids back in and contracts signed before the end of the year, because we do anticipate utilizing ARPA monies for some of that construction as well. But we are able to identify some of those items. DSS, the contractors completed the replacement of all the interior air handlers. They've installed a new concrete slab for the outdoor chiller unit, and so now we're just waiting for the new chiller unit delivery and installation. 11 Warren, Space Utilization Committee met on May 22nd to remove this, or to review the schematic floor plans. Several committee members provided comments on the plans, and there was some public input that was provided regarding that project as a whole. So the chairman has scheduled a meeting on June 25th with some of the members of the City of Hudson to meet and discuss the project. And then there'll be a follow-up space utilization meeting on June 27th to potentially adopt that plan. Once that's done, then we can work with the architect towards design development. Minor changes at this point. So far, the architect's done a nice job, and we've actually met with each one of the departments to review the plans. And so far, each one of them has been very happy as far as the way that that's been turning out. As Wendy had indicated, the work on the building is just about complete as far as the asphalt paving. That's been complete. There's some minor grading taking place. MIS has completed their work, and so they're ready to occupy the building, which will take place in July. USDA, I did receive a sketch from the USDA regarding proposed office improvements that they are requesting based on the new lease request. So based on that sketch, we're preparing some architectural drawings so that way we can get multiple quotes. Any improvements that we make on the building, that can be built into the new lease agreement. So I just need to have the backup data and the proof for when we structure that new lease with the USDA. Other than cosmetic, which are new carpet, painting and so forth, they have made major requests regarding safety. So they want a new lobby specific to their area, as well as security cameras and some additional security items as well. So again, we're working on some plans, and we'll get quotes and then continue to work on that lease agreement. There is an item, just to go to the colored picture next. Thank you. A minor item, but just wanted to run it past the committee, is regarding 325. So 325 has requested a sign for their building. They have indicated that two things. Number one, that people utilizing GPS sometimes drive past the building and don't realize where it actually is located within the city of Hudson. And by the time they recognize where they are, they've already passed it. So they originally were going to, or had requested to place a sign in the parking or along the edge of the parking area. Fortunately, as we all know, parking is at a premium down at that location. It would actually take up at least one parking space, if not two. So I've come up with an alternative that would provide potential signage as far as numbers on the building itself at each corner, and this would be on the east side as well as the west side, be very similar. Those numbers are approximately 16 to 18 inches in height. And then in addition to that, there would be a directory sign that would be mounted directly on the building as well. But I just wanted to run this past the committee, making sure the committee didn't have a problem with us moving forward with exploring this, because obviously we still have to go to the city for permits and approvals before actual implementation. But I didn't want to be accused of defacing the building without coming before the committee.
Put the address on with us. Does anybody have any
You
objections?
know, that's funny, because when the whole thing about the sign, I was thinking it's so high, it should go up on the building anyway, but I wasn't gonna say anything and have anybody think I wanted to deface the building. I'll let Ray take it. No, Ray, I agree with that 100%.
Thank
I
you.
don't
So
think anybody's objecting, so please proceed.
There you go.
We'll pursue that. Thank you. I have two resolution requests. One is regarding a memorandum of agreement regarding County Route 7A. Again, this is the reconstruction of the Copake area of 7A, including the Hamlet area, and most importantly, the relocation of the memorial clock by about 37 feet. We've been working with DOT, Federal Highway Administration, New York State Office of Parks and Recreation for the past 8 months to get this memorandum of agreement. We have it in draft form. So I would just like to have the authorization to have the chairman sign.
Motion second, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried.
Thank you. The last resolution I had is regarding the decommissioning of the Philmont non-directional beacon. So that's, the non-directional beacon is an old outdated navigational aid. There are some that are still being used. However, by 2023, all of them will be decommissioned in their entirety. Again, it's just older technology that nobody is utilizing, with the exception of the 109th Air Wing out of Schenectady. They have one at the airport. They would like to have ours for the purposes of spare parts in case theirs ever goes down. So it would be to decommission and to turn it over to the 109th Wing of the Air National Guard.
Got a motion, second, motion second, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried.
The only other item that I have is a request to go in executive session based on discussions with the county attorney to go over a contractual matter.
Okay, before we go there, I got some questions. Just two quick questions. Fishing Game Road, can we put a speed sign on that or somewhere? We just got in trouble for the state because we put one on 23B. And even though it's on private property, we got to get a permit from the state to do that. So I didn't know if the county had the same rule that we can, remember we did it last year when we were building, we used our signs there to help people, but.
Oh, so these are the
The movable.
ones. Yeah, you can place that on, yeah.
Okay.
I don't have an issue with that.
You have an issue for sending any other towns.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did think so. Okay, and the other thing is.
So the only thing would be just coordinating with Chris.
Yeah, Louis will coordinate.
Right.
So we just put it on 23B, we just want to have a plan where we can move to, and I will get complaints on that road. So I figured it'd be good spot to stick one. Yeah, he will. The other thing is, anything with that piece, they're gonna fix it, Calhoun?
So I do know that they have it on their docket. I haven't heard exactly when, but
Okay.
yeah, they're coming back as far as,
Take care.
there's actually 2 locations,
Okay.
that they're gonna repair in that general area. There's another one that's, I think, it may be 200 feet down the road.
Yeah.
Or something
Okay.
to that, but they are coming back to do that this summer.
Okay.
My apologies, I just was in a
No,
meeting with
I'm
them this morning and I forgot to bring it up.
They've been to my park
Right.
4 times already, so I know they're busy, so.
Okay.
Thanks, Rick.
Okay, before we go into executive session, does anybody else have any questions or comments for the committee members or for the committee heads, department heads? I'm gonna take your comment right now. We're also gonna take public comment before we go into executive session, so everybody, when we leave, can actually leave if they're not part of the executive session. So I will take public comments At this point, Mr. Houston, what can we do for you?
Thanks. Yeah, Will Houston, I live here on State Street, which some of you might know. Right off the time limit, because I thought of a few more questions since I've been here. Is there generally a time limit or?
Usually a couple, 3 minutes per question, but go ahead. What do you got?
Yeah. I was, something I just thought of, I was on the third floor of 325 Columbia recently, and the truck went past, the whole building shook. Is the county aware that this is happening, and are you checking the foundation of that building to make sure it's not being negatively affected by all the shaking?
We could certainly put that on something to look at. I don't know if we're aware of that, but we certainly are aware now. We can look at it.
Thanks, Greg.
I have to tell you that it surprised me, well, a little bit. I have a friend who lives down the street. Their house shakes as well occasionally, but I talked to somebody on the mental health center about it, and she said, "Oh yeah, it shakes pretty regularly. Sometimes it clumps," she said. And I said, "Do you worry about it?" She said, "No, except when it clumps. It's kind of concerning." So I thought you guys might want to know about that.
Thank you for bringing that to our attention. We'll certainly take a look at it.
And I can tell you, as somebody who bikes around a lot, that there's a section, and it was in the picture that you just had up on the screen, a section of the street at that corner. It's in horrible condition that the city of Hudson just seems to be ignoring. There's a sewer grate there, and there's all cracks around it. The asphalt's coming apart. A smoother road creates fewer vibrations. Fewer vibrations will do less damage to the building. I'm just suggesting that you get together with Rob Perry and get together with them over there. And it's right where the crosswalk is, a little farther west. I think there's a drain there, and you can see there's sections of the drain, the old grate, that are exposed. So any trucks are hitting that. Anyway, it's a DPW problem, but it obviously affects the county building. I think you want to take care of that.
That's something we can certainly mention to the city of Hudson, have them take a look at.
Yeah, have them do the rest of Columbia while you're at it.
Well, we all have wish lists.
Thank you. A few things to say about solid waste, if I could. I just want to voice my disappointment that scrap metal, you guys are charging for scrap metal to be dropped off there. It seems like if you're getting paid for scrap metal to take it, taking it to Albany to get paid for it, you should not be charging residents to drop it off. It should be free, just like it is in Catskill, like it is almost every other municipal transfer station in the entire state. It's hard to find a municipal transfer station that actually charges for it, like Columbia County does. And it just seems fair. And if you really want to recycle scrap metal, it should be free. Okay. I just want to tell you also about another angle about DPW in terms of recycling. I think they do a horrible job. As somebody who keeps an eye on recycling and solid waste, they do a horrible job of informing residents about what is recyclable, what's garbage, what to keep out, how to recycle properly. The website finally has a little bit of information. I think that the solid waste department, Wendy, has provided them with, but they do a terrible job. They still pick up plastic bags full of recycling. They don't put stickers on bags anymore, so people put out stuff and DPW takes it away. Just to let you know that if you want to put a little more effort into it in terms of all the recycling that Hudson gives, it's got to be very dirty, as Wendy probably knows from the pictures I've sent to her.
I just want clarifications for some of the newer people on our committee that he's talking about the Hudson City DPW picking up recycling in the city of Hudson, not the Department of Public Works County.
And bringing it to.
Right, but the city of Hudson, we're talking about the city of Hudson DPW, not Columbia County DPW. And there's a couple of new members on our committee, and I just wanted to make sure that they understood the clarification.
So I'm just giving you a viewpoint as a Hudson resident about how I see things happening with Hudson DPW, and I think they could do a much better job. My neighbor puts it out in plastic bags every week.
It is a working motion. We're working on that. So
yeah.
You could wrap it up. We got about a minute.
Last thing, is the solid waste department, I know you have a big fleet of vehicles. Are you doing anything about trying to cut down on vehicle emissions? Are you moving towards electric vehicles, of cutting back on, truck use?
Eventually we'll be working towards that, but right now it's not available to, for us to switch all to electric.
So there's nothing.
It's a
you
work
can
in
do.
motion. I mean, it's going to be over the next decade. We'll be working towards that, but it's not happening overnight.
And really, electric vehicles is the only direction you can go. It's, I mean, I guess, is there any like policy thing? We really want to cut down on exhaust emissions, whether it be electric vehicles or not. It just seems like, things are really heating up around here, and I don't see any sort of like policy or concerted effort among the county, at the county level, as well as the city level, to say, this is.
No, we are
have
working
to
on
do
it.
something.
We are working on it. We actually just have a grant. We purchased 4 electric vehicles. We're putting in charging stations. So we're starting to get the ball rolling on this. But it's going to take time, especially with the size of the fleet that the county has.
There's no written policy to.
We're working on policies at this point. I don't think there's one I'm aware of right now, but it is in work. It's in work in motion.
Last quick question, is Newman Road a county road?
Newman Road, that's in Hudson?
No, that's Greenport.
Greenport.
It's a town. Thank you very much. That's it.
Okay, thank you. At this point, I'll entertain the motion to go into executive session for closed reasons.
Contractual item.
Contractual. So move second. Motion second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Carried.
Here, we're back at it.
Is there any further business for public works this evening? Nope. Motion to adjourn. Motion to adjourn. I've been here a couple hours. Let's just.
Anybody?
Second. Second, all in favor.
Nobody
can vote.
Seconded.
If somebody opposes, we can't close it.
Opposed.
We gotta stay there, right?
All right, thank you.
Looks like an over an hour, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, we started.